the union that sits us in Shar Kavanos on page Reish Lamed. This comes to an Indian that I had a lot of problems with. I mentioned it to you before because in Parshas Pinchas it talks about this in great detail in the Zohar, and there's something here that I really don't understand. But let's see what it says. Indian that sits bo yud gimel chulios. So the word chulios does not appear in Hebrew dictionaries that I have or Aramaic, and it does appear in the Mishnah Berurah, and he defines it as the wrappings. So he says here there are 13 of them. So I'm trying to figure out how he got to 13, and he does has he talks about it later as another place where he brings it up again. But I don't see the number 13 coming out of it. Here's what I'm looking for. So reading it, it says the Indian that sits in Shiyubo Yud Gimel Cholios, Uganega the Tal. I'm sorry?
Sections of 3.
I really don't understand what that means, to be honest with you.
Because there are 39 total.
Let's read what he says, and then you come back and you explain it to me. I know that part.
I have it like that.
Huh?
I have it tell us like that according to the ARI. And I think a lot of Chabad people have it that way too.
Well, explain it to me. What is it? 3 sections. We basically make 2 knots. We tie 7 krichos. We make 2 knots.
Yeah.
We tie 8, and then you go to 11 and 13. There's a 13. That's the only place I see 13. This adds up to 39.
It's not a contradiction because there's a way to do it when you wrap around one string around the others that you make a space every third one.
Okay.
You can have both 13 and also space after every third winding.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's it. You could. I think Chabad has that. I've seen their tissues like that. I have one like that.
Okay, so that's
it's a little bit around and creates a separation after every 3 windings.
Oh, it's okay. That's interesting. I couldn't quite hear that. So that's really does straighten that out. Let's see what it says. So it's a Genegatal Osio Sheyesh Ba'arba Shemos Asmap. So he says the 4 different names of Av, Sag, Ma, and Ben. Hem Tal Krichos Shebetzitzis. This is the 39 of the tzitzis. Shehem Yud Gimel Cholios. Okay, so he doesn't really explain what you just said. So that's what he says, though. Let's look at number Kufna Mem Zayin, and we'll read along, and then we'll go to the next one. So he's about Marber Shevas Avayas B'Milui Asmab. So those 4, right? In total, Sheish Ben Tal Osius, they have 39 letters. Shahar B'Shlosha Samiluyim B'Rishonim Shehem Av Smab Av Sagu Ben Omar, rather the first 3. Yesh each one of them, if we look at the letters of the first of the Asam of the Asmab, you see that each one of them has 10 letters. But Midlui Akron is only with Sheben Yeshbo Rak Tesha Osios and only has 9. So he said V'atal Krichos, so the 30 total 9 total of 39 Krichos. Shows it because Kanaf Ma'arba Kanfos Atzitzis, Haim Ramazin La'abra Milui Shem Havaya. So this is a remembrance to that, so just explaining it again. Sheesh B'cham Tal Osius that have within them, this Asmav really represents the wrappings that you're doing. I guess that's the Kavana when you're making the wrappings. Ki Kol Chulia Yeshbo Gimel Krichos. So now he says so that the definition of Chulia is, I guess you're saying it's a separation. And he said, "V'gimel pa'amim yod gimel yotzalano tal." So since you're making every 3, so every time that you do the 3, so how many times do you do the 3? It says 3, and then how do you
13.
do that? Huh?
You said 13 sets of 3. That's the same 39.
No, that's not my question. My question is, how do you actually work this out? Because there, for example, the first one is 7.
Yeah, I know. It's not a problem. You do 3, and then the 1 of the 7 joins with the next 2. After you do 2 on the 8, then you do a space.
Okay, this of course, is not explained here. Okay, so he doesn't explain it. He called Julia the Yeshbo Gimel Krichos. So he makes in every Julia, so I guess it meant set of wrappings. He does it three Krichos, small Krichos. The Gimel Pamim Yod Gimel, Yod Salon Tal. So that's another way of seeing the 39. Kosev Agovi, Isa B'Shem Vital. He had this little number, Kaf Aleph, up above, and he says, Rotza Lomer Ki Kol Julia, he shlosh krichos. So the definition of chulia means several separate wrappings. Then he made shlosh pamim yud gimel, so that gives it to that. So if you wouldn't say that, I wouldn't be able to understand that from what he's saying here. Uh, Possibly because of the word chulia doesn't really exist in. This is a special word. It's not in the dictionary, as far as I could see. So let's look at Kufnum Tes, Mem Tes then. That was nice to know. It was a nice piece of information there. Next time I do tzitzis, we'll try that. So Inyan at tzitzis shiyu kufulim v'shazurim. He says, V'hinech abimina chasana v'gavur shalom mochin de'ima. Let's talk about those two mochin. And miyotzin tzitzius b'fnei atzman. So the tzitzis really don't come out of the chasadim and the Gevuras Hadas. Because they actually join together or incorporated into the upper two. So let's see what this says. So he says, So this is the way they have to be doubled over and intertwined. So if you don't do that, if you don't have the strings themselves that are wrapped around each other, then it's not kosher. This is the concept of chasana gevuras. Asher einem nechshav and mochin b'fnei atzman. They're not considered to be really mochin amatzim, but actually their parts are extensions in some way of what came from up above them. So let's see what the Tivuk Kavana says on number Kuf Mem Tes at the bottom here. And let me see if I can get this light a little better. Still can't. Okay, so he's Indian that tzitzias, hey maha'ara shnei hamochim. So what the concept of the tzitzis come from the ha'ara of two mochim. Oh, b'ha'ara's muach ha'chochma de'ima, shezucha be'bechinas tzitzis shal dechedes v'cholav b'yachad. So he has this concept here, which is a concept, I guess, in Olam Atzilus, where he says that there's one combination where you have from both Abba ve'ima. So he says, maha'ara's muach ha'chochma de'ima, so that particular situation existed then. So wait a minute, I have what? I have a tzitzis shall techelis v'loven b'yachad shehem b'zman shebez. Where is it? Oh, maha'aras muach ha'chochma de'ima. So it's either the chochma of ima or the bina of ima. Shazu bechinas atzitzis sheba halavan levada, where they have only lavan. Shehem hayotzim atach bizman the churban, which now at the time of the churban they come out then. Am the b'shnechem mochim, but the two mochim shehem hachasadim v'chagavur shal das, which represents the chasadim and the gavur das the mitzad ima that come from that side, and yotzim bechinas tzitzios, and you don't have tzitzis coming out there. So he says, So let's say this again. He says that since are going out, the tzitzis are coming out from a radiance that's coming from the mochin of both the chasana gevurus the das the ima, whom mishum sheshnei hamochim shehem chasana gevurus the das, because those two because they actually are incorporated in them. So this is the concept of shazurim, he means to say. Is incorporated in the moach bina. So he says of zehu atam. So he says of b'shum kat sricha machutim. Shalatzitzios lihiyot kefulim v'shazurim, so they have to be doubled over and intertwined. Shazehu romas the tosefes mocham and behem. So this really tells you that whatever is coming out of the tzitzis, was coming out of the chachma rabina of Ima, is going to be or has to be twined because you're incorporating with it the chasadim and the gevuros. Then he says, we're on number Kofnov base. He said, "V'chasiyas chuti atzitzius gefulim v'shazurim chu behechrach v'chuli kuva." Okay. Okay. What's it? What happened here? Okay. Let's have a ratam shechuti atzitzius tzrichem lichiyos shazurim v'gefulim. The reason why they had to be like this. Zechu remez ala aros hamochim shalach chasad gevuros the das the zachat betzad ima. This is really a reference to chasad and gevuros. They're not specifically individual like Chachman Bina. That's those mochim. Okay, Kuf Nun Vov, let's read that. So how much time do we have today?
10 minutes.
How much?
10.
Just 10 minutes more? All right, so let's stop here and we'll go over to the Sifra Tzniuta and